So out of that larger load that I've picked up of lawnmowers recently, this Bilt is the one that's in probably about the nicest condition out of all of them. So I'm just going to go ahead and start on this one first. This is a Bilt self-propel. It's front wheel drive. The bag's over there with the other ones, and doesn't look like it's going to take too much to get it going. One thing I do notice off the bat is it's got the ready start system, so there's no primer bulb on the carburetor. And I've also noticed that the self-propelled cable is kind of stuck, so I'm going to have to pull off this cover and sort that out why it's not wanting to move. It's probably just rusty. But first things first, we'll start with the carburetor, and we'll go ahead and pull the air filter out, see what kind of shape it's in. That needs to be changed. I've got a few on hand, so not too worried about that. And now we have the carburetor. So let me go ahead and gather my tools all up and we'll start pulling it apart. Because I'm lazy, we'll of course use a power tool. And pull the filter cover off. Make sure it slides out of the PCV line. That looks okay, and it looks like we have a small inline fuel filter. So I'm probably going to have to pull that off. So now I'm just going to go ahead and take the 2 bolts out of the carburetor. And I'm also going to pull off the top cover as well. And I'll go ahead and pull the vane off. Carburetor's off. I'm going to go dump all this gas outside. So here's the carburetor. Got to pull the bowl off. Probably give this thing a good cleaning. This mower was sitting for a while. At least that's what the owner had told me. And the center orifice in the bolt is plugged up. So it needs to be cleaned. We'll have to replace our intake gasket as well. That's some old gas in here. You can just see by the color of it that's in the bowl. Definitely needs a good thorough cleaning. Pull our bowl gasket off as well. And we'll take the pin out for the float. Needle looks good, but the carburetor needs to be cleaned. So I'm just shaving part of this gasket off that's still on the flange. And it came off just fine. So now we can go ahead and clean it out. And so normally when I clean these out, I'll shoot a little bit of carb spray into all these bottom holes down here. Cleaned up pretty well. So I'll go ahead and finish this cleaning and get back to it when we're ready to throw it back on. And I did decide to go ahead and replace that fuel line as well, just in case that fuel filter was clogged up. So not too worried about that. Now just to throw the filter box back on, as you guys can see, I already replaced that gasket. So the next thing I'm going to do is pull a spark plug out, and we'll have a look at that. And the spark plug looks good, nice and clean. So I'm going to spray it off just a little bit though. So I just sprayed it off, throw the plug back in. Boot's back on. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw the cover back on, just to kind of get it out of the way because it doesn't need to be off anymore. So let's throw some gas in her and see if we can get her to start for us. Kind of sounds like the carburetor needs to be cleaned out again. So I'll go ahead and do that and update you guys with the results. And I would have shown it on video if it was any more difficult than it was, but all I had to do was just lube up the drive cable a little bit and worked it back and forth all the way down. I had the top cover taken off. There was about 8 different bolts you had to remove to get that thing off, believe it or not. And shot a bunch in the bottom. I had that part of the cable removed from the bottom and had it moving just by itself, not hooked up to anything, and then threw it back on, lubed it some more. So let's see how well she freed up. I'm definitely happy with that. So now it just needs its final wash. I'll throw the bag back on it and get you guys some closure to this video. Alright, so I just gave it a bath. And I didn't show it on camera, but I did just sharpen the blade. And this thing runs really good now. I guess it just needed to be run for a little while, which in total today it's probably run for about a half hour. And there was probably some residual bad gas that was left in that tank. I did not bother to clean it out because, well, it's going to get burned one way or the other. And now the mower runs pretty damn good, and the self-propel works now too. So what I'm probably going to do with this thing is just hold on to it until the market picks up in a couple months, and then that's when I'll go ahead and sell it. And since I'm going to be holding on to it, I'll go ahead and throw a little bit of fuel stabilizer into the tank. There you have that. So now we should have a good working lawnmower for when the time comes to sell it. But enough of me babbling. Let's go ahead and start it up for you guys. So it runs a lot better than how it was running earlier. And I think honestly I just need to run this thing for a little bit while longer and put some more gas in it, and that should clear up. I've had this issue before with some mowers. It's not all that common, but it does happen, and it has happened. So anyways, boys, hope you guys enjoyed this video. You all stay classy.